This is McCook's Mr. Bill Saunders. I have you here. You're looking at a set of antlers. My wife killed this deer along with an awful lot of other deer in the 40 years that she's been a deer hunter. You bet. Everything legal though. She's no poacher. So how about a poaching story? I said a poaching story. The largest poaching story in Nebraska. And it goes like this. In 1873, southwest Nebraska was just about ready to be moved in by the big ranches. The cattle ranches were going to take over this area. But they had a problem. The Sioux still called this their land. And the treaty, though, that said that the Sioux could keep this as long as the grass was green and the sky was blue, well, that didn't mean nothing to the white man that wrote it up. But the Sioux, they kind of thought that contract should mean something, and they were going to keep the land. Now, the ranchers in the state of Nebraska didn't want a costly war to drive them out. They had to come up with another idea, a conspiracy, if you will, that couldn't be proved. They told the Pawnee that we're already on a reservation / concentration camp. How would you like to go on one last buffalo hunt? And they agreed. They said, that's wonderful, anything to get out of the reservation. And so there were 1,200 Pawnees. Now there used to be, before the white man showed up in this area, there was 25,000. So their numbers had been dwindled big time. But the 1,200 said, yeah, we'd like to go on a last buffalo hunt. Now only 800 got to go along. The others were too old or sickly or feeble, being in a reservation / concentration camp. But the 800 went. And they took 800 horses with them to pack the meat back, because they were going to kill every buffalo they saw. Because if they didn't, the white man that moved in sure would. They went down south of the Republican River and up and killed quite a few buffalo. They got up by Trenton, Nebraska, present day Trenton, Nebraska, and they looked across, and it was very easy and evident that there was a lot of buffalo on the other side, on the Sioux side. And so the Pawnee, they decided they was going to cross the river and poach those buffalo. And they didn't worry about it because there were 300 men, Pawnee warriors, if you will. Now all they had were bow and arrows, but they were totally confident they could handle anything the Sioux would show up with. Maybe a dozen or 2 dozen Sioux. They're not going to scare them off. And they thought, well, before the Sioux could ride a day to the main camps and bring back enough men to really be dangerous, they'd be out of the area. And they'd have poached the meat and be out of the area. And so they crossed and they started killing Sioux buffalo, poaching Sioux buffalo. You bet. Buffalo. You bet. They are an awesome creature. A friend of mine raises buffalo out here in southwest Nebraska. That's where I got this. The Pawnee were killing the buffalo. The women had set up camp and they were getting ready to, cut up the meat and everything, get it packed up on the horses, get out of there. They had to hurry a little bit. They knew that as far as that goes. And all of a sudden, some numbers say it was 1,000, some say as much as 1,500 Sioux warriors came over the hills at them from every direction. 1,500. By accident? Yeah, right, sure. Anyway, be that as it may, a battle ensued. A life and death battle ensued. And so, if not for the bravery of the Pawnee and their poison arrows, which kept the Sioux back, and their rifles could shoot at them, but they didn't want to get close and wipe them out real easy and real quick because they feared a scratch from an arrow means death. But what they did do is they chewed them up bad. They killed an awful lot of Pawnee, I'm here to tell you, including women and children. And they captured most of their horses, hundreds and hundreds of horses. So it was a good day for the Sioux. And it was a terrible education for the Pawnee to ever trust the white man or ever go poaching again. You bet. Poaching's never a good idea, then or today. Stay legal, stay safe, and enjoy the hunt.